Hey everybody, welcome on into your go-to show for sports here on the shore, the Delmarva Sports Insider. I'm Brandon Bossert. Let's go over what we have in store for you tonight. A big week in football, a trio of Henlopen teams on the move for next year's football season. We'll talk about the ramifications of DIAA realignment. A local superstar on the field hockey field now has a chance to be named the National Player of the Year. Plus a big opening week of basketball here on the shore. We've got highlights for you across Delmarva coming up tonight. But we begin with realignment in Delaware football. 3 Henlopen schools on the move. 2 of those schools getting a bump up in competition. Indian River and Polytech will both move to Class 2A from the 1A beginning next fall. Indian River leaving Class 1A as the defending champions, defeating Tattnall, who were the defending champions and undefeated, 47-45 in the title game. Tattnall also moving up to Class 2A. IR will join District 3. They will compete with Delmar, Lake Forest, Laurel, Sussex Tech, and Woodbridge. Meanwhile, Polytech has been one of the big beneficiaries of the move to 3 classifications. Polytech went from winless Division I team to a title contender at the 1A level. Polytech will play in District 2 in Class 2A, competing with DMA, Odessa, St. Mark's, Red Lion, and Milford, who got moved over from District 3 to make room for Indian River. All right, now let's go ahead and move on. We've got a couple of moves across the state that were surprising, including Polytech moving up to 2A and Caravel making the move to 3A. These moves come with ramifications for the football scene across the state of Delaware. What does it mean for the Henlopen teams in 2A, though? I spoke with WDEL Sports Director Sean Green for this week's Insider Interview. We've got 3 Henlopen teams moving. First, let's talk about the champs. Indian River moves up to 2A.
Yeah, a team that has shown some pretty good success the last 2 years, kind of building. You kind of look at them the way Laurel had in the first 2 years of this mix when they worked their way up and really have shown that they deserve to be in 2A, very competitive, a playoff team. I see Indian River in kind of the same way. They have a state title in 2011 in the old Division II, so the history in Dagsboro fits being a 2A team. Now, of course, the question's going to be, they haven't had a lot of success against 2As lately. They only played Delmar last time around, but remember, Delmar won the district.
Yeah, and Indian River has a kind of a young roster with quite a few returning juniors who are going to be seniors next year. How do you think they can compete next year against the Woodbridges, the Laurels, the Delmars?
Well, that's going to be the challenge. Obviously, you speak immediately to the top of that district, teams that are expected to be a title, but I look at Lake Forest, Laurel, and Sussex Tech, and those are games that should be very competitive for Indian River. They might be slight underdogs, even with Sussex Tech, but they should be in those games. And when the whole point of the system isn't, oh, every team should be able to win a state championship, it's every team should have 10 competitive games. And Indian River just absolutely fits for me in 2A3 as being a team that's going to find at least 3, if not 5 competitive games. And by the way, if you look at games they could play in 2A otherwise, well, there's Milford sitting over there and Polytech as teams they could easily schedule and have, now you're up to 6 or 7 very competitive 2A games.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Polytech now. Kind of maybe surprising that they moved up to 1A, but Delcastle moving down to 1A, so it made a spot for them to move up. Do you think this is the right move for the Polytech program at this point?
I think the problem is Delcastle and Polytech are just about the same. Delcastle is 2-32 against teams that are in 2A since 2007. So they've shown they don't belong. Problem is Polytech, let's not forget, as recently as 2019, didn't finish the season because they didn't have enough players on their rosters. It figures to be a very uphill battle, though, for Polytech. If there's one of these teams that are going to struggle, I think they're the one that moving up, they could end up very much going back down in 2 years.
And Milford moving over to District 2. But the big news here in 2A outside of the Henlopen is that Caravel moves up to 3A, which opens up the door for everyone else to finally compete for that 2A championship. Do you think anyone from the Henlopen is looking at that and saying, now is our chance?
I mean, look how good 2A3 was last year. Delmar was in with a chance. Woodbridge was in with a chance. There were times this year Lake Forest looked like they could certainly be a team that could win a state title had Two-A not had Caravel in it. Caravel is a program that, yes, they've had this amazing 39-1 run over the past 4 years, but in prior years, they've had down years. Woodbridge has been right up there in state championship games going against Friends. I can remember that in the late teens. But I would still say I wouldn't bet against the Henlopen and South winning a state title next year.
And neither would I. So DIAA has most of the Henlopen South now in that 2A, the District 3. 2 of the more northern Henlopen schools are going to be moved over to that District 2. So Seaford remains the only 1A school from the Henlopen South. They're joined by Early College along with First State Military Academy as well. Now there is one more chance now moving on to some high school football that's taking place this weekend for high school football players to impress colleges, college coaches, and their peers at the Eastern Shore Bowl. Each year, about 100 high school senior football players get involved in the annual Eastern Shore Bowl. This will take place on Sunday at Queen Anne's County High School. The best players from the conference will be joined by players from Baltimore and Virginia. The South team has been practicing out at County Stadium this week in preparation for Sunday. Let's hear from Parkside head coach Brendan Riley and 2 of his players who will be competing on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's just a fun opportunity to play with my guys one last time, make some new friends, see like other teams, how they work.
It feels really good to like go out there and showcase my talent and stuff, and there might be a couple of college scouts out there and stuff like that watching all of us play and stuff like that. It feels really good.
It's been outstanding. Just getting an opportunity to be with all the kids from around, working with these great coaches in the Bayside, having an opportunity to get another game with the kids is just outstanding.
And it should be a great atmosphere. Queen Anne's at noon on Sunday. Moving on to the college scene now. Salisbury football getting set for a kickoff with a national powerhouse. The biggest game for the Gulls since, well, I've been on Delmarva. Not only is there a trip to the Final Four on the line at home, but now you welcome in Mount Union, a team that's known nationally with so many titles over the years. SU still looking for title number 1 in program history. This season, both teams undefeated at 12-0. It's the 14th run to the NCAA tournament for SU. First trip to the quarterfinals since 2019. According to the latest FPI ranking, Salisbury is the favorite in this game. The Gulls ranked number 3 in the nation, while Mount Union is ranked 6th. When they meet on tomorrow on the football field at noon, it will only be the second time that these 2 football programs have met. Former SU football player and alumni Mark Dickerson has purchased his ticket online, and Dickerson talked about the matchup on the field coming up tomorrow.
When you think of Division III football, you think of Mount Union, you think of Wisconsin Whitewater. Now people are starting to think about Salisbury. We got the big old Mount Union team coming to Salisbury. It's going to be a great game, a big game for Salisbury, probably one of the biggest games they've had in the program in recent years. Both being 12-0, and you can expect nothing less but a great football game on Saturday.
We hope so. We will be there. You'll see highlights coming up tomorrow. That game is tomorrow once again at noon at Seagull Stadium. And hey, stay updated while we're at this game in real time. Follow WMDT Sports on Facebook and X right now. We move over to the hardwood. The Decatur Seahawks, fresh off of their football state championship, hoping that it can carry over that title magic to basketball this season after advancing to the Final Four last winter on the hardwood. Decatur traveling to Crisfield to take on those Crabbers tonight. Martino Jackson with the steal, drives it down into the paint and gets the basket. Great transition offense there. Jonathan Purnell passing the ball out. David Chandler from the wing. Drains the tray ball there. Chandler now passing to Solomon David. He was clutch in the summer league, really opened some eyes, and they were the Splash Brothers tonight. Jackson driving down the middle, +1 there, gets the foul, goes to the line. Jackson again, Euro stepping his way in, gets the floater to fall. Pass out to David now in the corner. Bang, rattles it home, makes another 3-ball there. Kenneth Jones gets the ball loose. Jackson coming and taking it to the hole. Jones down the line here, gets the bucket and 1 there. Chandler coming around now. Windmill gets the bucket here. What a fancy move there from David Chandler. Seahawks beating the Crabbers 81-51. Decatur recently being the two-time champs in football, we asked Coach B.J. Johnson and senior Solomon David about their goals for this season on the basketball courts.
Well, we want to win all our home. We want to win every game in the conference. We want to win the Bayside Conference, the region, and then, of course, the state championship. You know, having the football players back, along with the guys who've been since November 15, they gel real quick because a lot of these guys played together last year.
Them just coming off a state win, you know, I think they just bringing the hustle back. You know, the ones that ain't play football, you know, we want to ring too, so I'm sure we're going to get there.
We'll see. We're rooting for them. All right, now to some highlights from the Waller Dome. Another victory for the Y-High Tribe earlier this week against Snow Hill. Nice bucket from Tayshawn Swan. Y-High off to a strong start this season. They have some playmakers on offense, and they're playing with more confidence this season as well. Y-High with wins over North Carolina, Delmarva Christian, and Snow Hill. Their first loss last night to Washington, though. Let's hear from head coach Butch Waller on the early season success.
And he made some key foul shots for us, and he's just a good player. They're all smart kids, I can tell you that, and sometimes they get a little too excited and want to take the game over one-on-one. But once we started, you know, running our offenses and playing team basketball, we had pretty much control of this game the whole start.
Now to the Queen Anne's Lady Lions. They were unbeaten last season in the Bayside North. They continued that this week, including a win over Colonel Richardson on the road. Cariana Hickson with the three the hard way here. The Lady Lions dominating 77-27 so far this season. Queen Anne's 4-0, 2-0 against the Bayside North. The defense has been phenomenal for this team, allowing just under 25 points per game so far this season. We asked head coach Mike Kern about the expectations and goals for this team.
I mean, there's a lot of good teams out there. You know, up in the north, Kent Island always plays us tough. They always bring in their A game against us, and it's always a battle. So I expect that to be the same. Obviously, we come down south, and Y-High gave us a fit last year. You know, 3 times, couldn't beat them. So I'm sure they'll be out to get us. I heard J.M. Bennett's and Decatur are a much improved team too. So.
And now let's move to the Henlopen Conference, beginning with Laurel, a team that thinks that they should be the favorites in the South. Laurel controlled this one most of the way against Delmar. Dustin Peterson with a nice spin move early on. The 6'5" center, he is going to be huge, a big problem for a lot of teams inside. Keyshawn Copes, fantastic once again, 16 points to lead the Bulldogs. Brock Hill with 15. And Laurel gets a great early season test tomorrow afternoon against the Bennett Clippers. As for the rest of the Henlopen, 4 other teams with spotless records so far joining Laurel. Dover, Cesar Rodney, they both play tomorrow. They both haven't experienced a loss, plus Cape Henlopen and Smyrna as well. That'll do it for the A block. We're calling our first time out, but when we return, we are introducing to you the newest member of the WMDT sports team when Delmarva Sports Insider returns.
Sean Tucker, head boys basketball coach at Cambridge South Dorchester, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.